Checking a few things, folks. See if we're happy or not. Here we go. Don't really know whether I'm happy yet. Let's just go here. Doesn't seem to be anything happening anyway. But, well, I can assume that it is happening, I guess. Okay, well, let's go on as if it is actually working. Howdy, folks. Amos Sewn. It's news, spelled differently. Today, 5th of May, 2022. This is Amos Sewn number 16. Got a couple of little things to show you here today, just to chat about the general world situation at the moment, and it's getting more interesting by the day. Here in Australia, we've got a bit of election thing happening shortly, a couple of weeks away. Lots of people are don't know what they're going to decide and stuff like that, of course, because it's either one party or the next. And well, heard a little comment earlier today. It was really cool. One's blue, one's red. If you mix them up, you get purple. Yes, well, it's pretty purple, the politics at the moment. Anyway, well, to start with, I've got a little news item I found in the ABC. I'll try and find it, put it up on the screen for you. When your mouse decides to work. Here we go, there it is. Right, about the press. Yes. Australian lags behind New Zealand, Taiwan and East Timor-Leste on World Press Freedom Index. Isn't that surprising? Well, media freedom in Australia is fragile and less protected than in New Zealand and several emerging democracies. In Asia, an international journalism watchdog has concluded in its annual Press Freedom Index. Yeah, this sounds interesting, doesn't it? No? Australia slid from 25 to 39 out of 180 countries in reports without borders World Press Freedom Index of 2022, ranking below close neighbours New Zealand in 11th place and Timor-Leste number 17. Ultra concentration of media ownership combined with growing official pressure endanger public interest journalism in Australia, that mob said. Taiwan has transitioned from a military dictatorship to liberal democracy since the late 80s, ranked just above Australia in 38. I don't think we've got much media freedom here at all, really, do we? Australia was also beaten out by Bahrain, a constitutional monarchy with a historically oppressive media environment in world political parties where basically the political parties were banned in 2007. So it's and they've got more press freedom than us, eh? Goes to show where we are. This bloke, he's the bloke writing the report. Journalism in Australia is not a healthy state, and I think World Press Freedom Index is a good warning for us all to you need to do something about this. That's what I'm here for. Me, mate DK, Vinny Eastwood, a lot of other people in the alternative media. We are the new media, not going to be the old media, the stuff that get rammed up down by your throat by people who are just looking out for their jobs. I was just doing what I was told. Anyway, ownership, problematic laws, and intimidation. Oh, freedom of the press, that couldn't happen, could it? Yeah, well, RSF said Australia had one of the highest concentrations of media ownership in the world, with Nine Entertainment and News Corp dominating much of the news media landscape. No surprise there, is there? Spokesman for Nine said journalism was independent at Nine's corporate interest. I'll try that bit again. A spokesman at Nine said journalism was independent of Nine's corporate interest, and this was ensured through a charter of editorial independence. Yes, I wonder if anyone's seen that charter for a while. You know, it's all the news outlets are saying the same sort of thing. aren't they? Yeah, what else have they got to say? We stand by our work that our journalists undertake and ensure the audiences of each of our brands get independent, accurate, and accountable journalism. Accountable meaning that if they don't do what they're told, they get sacked. So that's the count. The spokesman said yes. It also rejected concerns that media ownership in Australia, pointing to The Guardian and other news outlets on the internet. What's that got to do with anything? No one really watches the internet. No. Well, who watches me? About 3 or 4 people, maybe? Half a dozen? Right? Oh, got 150 odds, actually. Around about 170 subscribers on YouTube. Hello to anyone that's watching. Uh, please feel free to chuck something in the chat room, and I'll see what I can do about answering you. And we'll just chat along anyway. Anyway, the ABC approached News Corp for a comment, but they didn't respond by the time of publication. Yes, what a lot of crap, eh? The media reporting that the media are unbiased. I don't think they are anyway. Well, enough of that stuff. Back to where are we going to go next? What you got more? Yes. More subscribers on YouTube than DK, but he doesn't use it that much, does he? Or does he? Yeah, he does. He goes to a lot of protests, puts his stuff up. Have a look at DB123 if you're looking on YouTube. Get a New Zealand perspective of what's happening over there as well. New Zealand's, that's our brother country in a way, isn't it? Yeah, good mob. Anyway, getting a bit past. Here's to all those that are having a beer, or ate, or wish they had one. Anyway, I got these emails from this mob called Rebel News. I think they're a Canadian mob that do alternative news over in Canada, whatever. And well, they've got an Australian bloke doing things here in Australia. Is Yemi something or other his name is. Hey, Nana Beezy. G'day, Nana. B. Whatever. No. And well, he's going around certain independent journalist type people, not journalists, people who are putting their hand up to be independent members in the upcoming election, and it's quite interesting sort of stuff. And well, one of them's an ex-police officer, and I got a little video clip. Goes for about 14 minutes, and I'll see how it goes. Whether we keep on playing it, but it's worth a watch. So we'll see if we can get it working. And which one is it? Right. Have a look at this. Okay, we'll try to find the right button to. There we go. Come on. How do I do this? It's not working for me. The wrong phone's coming up as usual. Aha, here we go. Okay. No, that's not really working. Where is it? Play. Here we go. Ads by Rumble. Close ads.
Victoria Police manuals come out. You're not allowed to have your own opinion on Facebook. Like, you like Harvey's thing, they're probably investigating you, that sort of stuff. Good chance I can't go back to VicPol after speaking to you.
This month, Australia is going to decide what direction to take the country, while the mainstream media continue to advocate for more of the same two-party rule that led us to the shocking authoritarian control in the name of health. We at Rebel News are launching a unique initiative to allow freedom-focused candidates to have their campaigns heard, exactly what they don't want. We will give a platform to the independent and minor parties the mainstream media don't want you to know about. So head over to ozdecides.com to find out their stories, upcoming debates, and then share them far and wide to let others know that there is a better option. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to sign up to our mailing list at ozdecides.com so you don't miss a thing in our election coverage. And finally, if you like this initiative and you're willing and able, please give what you can at ozdecides.com to help cover the cost of telling the other side of the story this election. For today's candidate, I caught up with now former Senior Constable Chris Burson, famous for frog marching Victoria's most wanted fugitive, Jonathan Dick, after the dramatic arrest of the samurai sword killer.
I joined the army when I was 19, and then I joined Victoria Police in about 2011. I was in Richmond for 18 months as a probationary constable. From there I went to Public Order Response Team, which you're obviously mates with. Then I went to the Critical Incident Response Team for 5 years. You might be mates with them as well. And then I've been working the divisional van for the last sort of year. I've been a bit disappointed with how things have gone for the last 2 years. Not just police. My drama is, it's like you have state parliament who have obviously affected everybody in Victoria and Melbourne and stuff so much, but I just don't know what the feds were doing. I just found myself complaining a lot about how things were going, and then I was like, well, if I'm not willing to throw my hat in the ring, then, you know, it's either sort of put up or shut up, I guess. My dad's a truckie. My mum's a primary school teacher. I went to a public school at Bourne High. I'm not special compared to a lot of other people. I don't have 4 degrees. I don't have that sort of thing. But what I do have is, and I know we say lived experience like it's a throwaway line that means something, but I've held people's hands when I've given them death messages. I've cut people down that have, committed suicide. During the lockdown, I'd spend hours with 17-year-old kids who'd gone away from home because their parents are having divorces and they're sitting in the car crying because they've got year 12 exams in the morning. I'm like, mate, it's 3 a.m, you've got an exam at 8, what are you doing? He goes, well, I was going to kill myself. So my friends came over and all they saw when they saw police was I was there to breach them for breaching a curfew. And I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. So that's why I've left police. But the government made those rules that then put the police in the position where they have to do that. I was quite vocal about the fact I wouldn't have gone to a protest, so whether that meant they didn't roster me or not, I don't know, but I know plenty of police who went sick on those days because they didn't believe in it, or they just didn't want to get involved, or they just felt like they were underprepared or whatever. But even just the organisation was bringing people from all of the regions to come into a central area that they said was a mass spreader event to then infect everybody and then send them back out to the regions. If there was ever a mass spreader event, it was pretty much our response to it by bringing everybody from a region. The only people who are allowed to travel outside 5k to inside and then send them back. So I found that was quite interesting.
I often made that point at the protest when they would come, packed into buses and roll into town, and there was thousands of them that had all been sitting shoulder to shoulder and then kettling protesters into small groups, manhandling, when if they just let the protest go, it probably would have been safer at the time from a scientific health perspective. So I certainly agree with that. People get the wrong idea in the last 2 years, especially new people who follow my side. They think I'm anti-police. And I know a lot of coppers follow me from before these days, and I used to be one of the strongest voices for back the blue, almost no matter what. I was one of those until COVID, until I saw what happened. I don't think all Victoria Police members are bad. I think there's a lot of good guys in there. In fact, I meet them on the sidelines at even some of the protests where they were just like, hey, Harvey, good work, keep it up. Almost apologetic in their eyes that they're even there. But there was something that we did see for the first time where there seemed to be this element within Victoria Police that we're almost enjoying this new power trip, these new pandemic powers or the emergency powers. Is there anything to that?
Well, I mean, I obviously can't comment on individual coppers, but if you have a look at something, that these coppers joined up, a lot of them, in COVID, so they weren't doing the same academy everyone else was doing. Times have changed from when I went through to now, where you can use at maximum, you can do 20%, you can't get sworn at it. So then they've gone from this really safe environment where realistically we're not training people properly. So you've got a bunch of people who were working at Safeway, did 9 months in the academy, of which of that 12 weeks is doing barely any defensive tactics, it's all law and that sort of stuff, to then going out and having 400 people who don't want to be arrested, obviously. The bosses have put those people in those situations. So it's a bit hard to sort of judge new people that have been out for 3 days. But I also am well aware that there is groupthink when you get any group of people, like you get a bunch of footy boys on a trip or you do whatever else it is. And that's where the leaders need to step up and go, everyone calm down. We're literally the line in between both sides of an argument. So you can't join one side or another.
If, however, you do take the selfish option and leave home to protest, we'll be ready for you. So while I won't go into the details of our tactics and our plans on the day, be assured we'll be ready for you.
With Cornelius, you can't have a bloke come out and then make public statements basically trying to start a fight with people and then expect the people on the ground to then just either roll over or do whatever. If you sit there and poke the public and then they turn up, he's not there. It's all good and well. He can say whatever he wants. That's fine. Each copper has their own family. Each copper has their own backstory onto what their which side of the fence they want to be on. A lot of ex-defence, for example, versus a lot of coppers that came from somewhere else. Like the background there is different. So I think you'll find a lot of people in the Army do not enjoy being mandated to do anything, even though I saw in the comments today, they're like, oh, you guys just get yelled at and told to do what you're told. And you're like, well, you do. You get yelled at and told discipline and stuff, but you also get told that you have to follow lawful orders. If you don't have a lawful order, you don't have to follow it. So, and they're big on that in the Army, whereas here, they give you the law and then they give you this word discretion. They don't really tell you what that means. For example, that pregnant lady in Ballarat, we're going to the house and arresting them. Like, those members probably could have said, I'm not doing that. But then that comes at the risk of them never getting a promotion. So it's like, yeah, they can say no to it, but you can either throw away your career, send someone else who's not going to care and go there and be far more overzealous, or you can go there and sort of try and make the best of a terrible situation. But you'll find that there's no bosses going there to do that. It'll come down from them. They'll email and they'll go, we want this done. And you're like, that's all good and well, but that gets tasked down to somebody to do the dirty work for them, so that then they can just be used as a scapegoat, which will be what happens. There'll be an investigation, there'll be a whole bunch of coppers that they throw out, and the same dude who sent them there will, he'll still be there, he'll still send someone else to do it next time. Coppers are only staying in, I think, 1 to 2 years for girls, 3 to 4 for guys. So it's like the turnover at the bottom that they can just keep using over and over is fine, and all these guys have got to go home and, they've got to sleep at night and that sort of stuff. So decisions that they've made that they may regret at this point, like, they've still got to live with.
You'll have a lot of people watching this, like you say, they may have been pro-copper before, maybe now after the last 2 years they don't have much room in their hearts left for Victoria Police members. What would you say to those that go, mate, where were you? You're standing up now, great. Yeah. Where were you the last 2 years? Why the hell should I listen to you now? Maybe you didn't personally bash anyone, but you didn't stand up for them. Why should they vote for you?
Yeah. So at the time, I was having arguments with bosses about the mandates in the first place. I kicked up a fuss there, and I get it. That doesn't translate outside because, no one cares what happens in a police station. I didn't want to get locked away for 2 years, so I couldn't see my friends and family and stuff. I've seen all the drama it's caused at the bottom end, and now I want to bring that and put it at the top, where the people write the laws, where they're not exposed to what's happened to the normal people on the ground. For example, I went to a service station. This 65-year-old lady tackled a 50-year-old lady because she wasn't wearing a mask. And then she's like, I need you to do this. And I'm like, she might have a valid reason for not wearing a mask. She goes, well, ask her what it is. I'm like, I don't have the power to ask her what it is. If she's not wearing one, I don't have the power to ask her one. If she reckons she's got a valid exemption, then she does. And then this lady was horrified. I'm like, you've assaulted her. Like, you've actually committed an offence. And then she was horrified at the fact that I was telling her off for tackling someone. I'm like, you've broken a law. She may or may not be lying. That's fine, but I don't have the right to ask her. And I think a lot of police were confused about how much power they had to ask certain things because, the thing changed every 2 weeks. So I can't really have a go at police for not knowing what the rules were, because you'd go to sleep, wake up, and there'd be an email that came out. You wouldn't have read it because you had to go straight on the road to some crime, and then the rules changed between then and then. So every time that I go somewhere, it's because of a law that's been written by some politician. If someone writes a law, they need to realise that at the end of that is some bloke who has to potentially put his life on the line to defend this piece of paper that you've just written. And it's all good and well to be up the top and write whatever you feel like, but people at the bottom have to deal with it, whether you've committed an offence, whether you're enforcing it, or whether you're the victim. All three of those people are affected by the laws written at the top. And I've been at the bottom end, so now I'm going to the top to make sure that those laws aren't ridiculous and are fit for purpose.
Do you think that in the last 2 years they have been ridiculous laws that they've been operating under that caused a lot of this?
Yeah, 100%.
Did you ever issue a COVID ticket?
No, but I barely write tickets in the first place, but I certainly haven't done a COVID ticket.
You weren't good for revenue raising?
No, I certainly didn't.
I think they might be happy to let you go now.
Yeah, I'm certainly not going on highway patrol. I'm just a normal person who has accepted the fact that I'm probably going to get torn apart in the media at some point, and that's going to be what it'll be. As it is speaking to you, I'm sure that your people don't like police at the moment after the last 2 years, and I'm sure Cornelius at no point wants me speaking about him. So I'm going to get burnt from everyone, and that's fine, because that's part of the job. And I feel like if I am not willing to come and talk to people who may not be, or like I was expecting you to be a little bit more hostile, I'll be honest, coming here, but if we can't have these conversations, then I shouldn't be in politics. And the people up there, like Albo has people come up to speak to him, and he's like, oh, I'm only having media take it like scripted question. The transparency is even the way Vic Pol have done things where they're like, oh, we want to see the body-worn camera. Like, you could resolve so many things overnight with body-worn camera footage. Accountability seems to not be something that Australian politics or police seem to be getting all about at the moment, and I think we need more of it. I'll be one person in the Victorian Senate. Labor and Liberal are going to write it, and then it's going to be, if you have minor parties in there, they then have oversight on that, and then we can adjust it to make it less ridiculous, or if it's great, then by all means, be like, small business owners got shafted day one, no one cared. Then they went to hospitality and people couldn't have beers, but then it was all right because you could have home delivery, so people were like, oh, well, I can have beers at home. And then, people had Zoom and they were fine, and then people were getting money to stay at home, so they're like, yeah, cool, I was getting paid more to stay at home than I was to go to work, so those people were happy. And then as it progressed and each mandate affected somebody else, to be fair, it was pretty smart to not do it all at once. If you're doing it all at once, you probably would have had 4 million people protesting, in which case it wouldn't have happened. But
it's like boiling a frog.
Yeah. So you do it slowly, and then, and everyone got offside, and then so you went from there to there, and then eventually I saw one bloke, I think you interviewed him, in the CFMEU, who apologised to everybody that lost their job beforehand. And then it came for the coppers. Like, we got it mandated, but everyone was happy because we'd been doing overtime and getting paid more than we ever had before. But now we're going to have the third one mandated, and we'll probably have to have the fourth and the fifth because now it's getting written into policy. And so you're getting more and more cops leaving as well. For example, my Gazette that just went out, we had 28 cops leave and you got 13 in. So you've had a loss of 15 just for a fortnight, and that's happening like every fortnight.
So you say Australian values party, so you're more about values than specific policies. So how would you describe that to the voter at home, the undecided voter at home, going, all right, but what are these values? Well, how do I know I share the values with you?
Well, the values is a funny thing. So Heston actually just cut and paste them off the citizenship test. All these people that come into the country that want to live here, they all have to sign up to it, and yet politicians and everyone else don't have to. So I find it bizarre that they made this, these 7 core values, but they haven't had to abide by it themselves.
So your approach, interesting, I haven't seen that yet. So your entire approach is holding the establishment to account to adhere to the 7 values that new citizens have to sign up to when they come in.
Right, so you've got respect for the freedom and dignity of the individual, including personal choice and freedom to make your own health decisions. I'd suggest that probably covers the mandate.
So you're going to approach any legislation that crosses the parliament table, and you're going to say, you're going to look at it through the scope of these 7 values.
Yep. But on the website there is policies and stuff as well.
If you think that these freedom-focused candidates deserve or should have a platform, even if the mainstream media refuses to give them one, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, share it far and wide. Then head over to ozdecides.com to sign up for our mailing list and donate what you can to ensure that we can continue to tell the other side of the story this election. AUS, ozdecides.com. And a little secret, we also plan to challenge some of the fake, independents and those cowardly major party candidates that the media have given a free pass to so far. Watch this space, ozdecides.com.
Victoria Police manuals come out, you're not allowed to have your own.
Let's get rid of that, eh?
Freedom, who cares? Just get on with your job, whatever. What effects is it going to have on being able to get on with your job? Because that's socialism. That's what it does. It grounds everything to a halt. We have to pay lip service to insanity and then exist in another way. But who wants? That's not the country I grew up in. That's not Australia to me. And there's 227 parliamentarians at a federal level. 227. 7 of them are against the narrative. 7 of them are openly out, at least questioning the narrative. Why wouldn't they be asking questions? That's what they're paid to do. Ask those questions on our behalf that we might be too scared to ask because we would lose our jobs. They've got...
Right. That's the next guy. Anyway, folks, get back to me. Sorry, folks. I'm having got mouses all over the place and just sorting out. But there's that a Victorian police officer who's left the force because, he doesn't like what they're doing. And there's lots of other police out there that are doing the same thing. Well, we have hope yet anyway, don't we? So, the world is, we're going to win, guys. Maybe not. Probably all just get exterminated, as Vinny says. Well, the next guy, Jonas, he's or just another politician. I might give him a miss at the moment. There's a guy who used to be in Neighbours. Anyone watch Neighbours? Oh no, I've never watched the show myself, but he's a guy who's an actor. Acting's a profession, shall we say? Like, surely a lot of the people in the media have done acting courses. Well, actually, I'm actually doing an acting course myself at the moment. I've signed up for one for the local council. Did my first thing the other day. Learn how to act. Now, or would you rather see me just be me? I think I'm just going to be me anyway. But it doesn't have to learn new skills. Might learn how to talk properly. Well, you might notice that I've sort of fumbled my words a bit here and there, and but that's the type of show I run. It's not really professional yet, but it's working on it. Let's see what this Neighbours bloke has to say, eh? We'll see if we can get him up in the rack, and let's give it a go.
Is it going to have on being able to get on with your job? Because that's socialism. That's what it does. It grounds everything to a halt. Where you have to pay lip service to insanity and then exist in another way. But who wants? That's not the country I grew up in. That's not Australia to me. And there's 227 parliamentarians at a federal level. 227. 7 of them are against the narrative. 7 of them are openly out, or at least questioning the narrative. Why wouldn't they be asking questions? That's what they're paid to do. Ask those questions on our behalf that we might be too scared to ask because we would lose our jobs. They've got parliamentary privilege. They're protected by it. There's only 7. My name on Neighbours was Gary Francis Canning, actually. I was one of the main families, like the Canning family, I was the sort of the dopey dad.
What are you running as, Gary?
No way. I'm running as Damien Richardson, an independent for the Senate. The fact that I ended up even in the protest movement was a really big consideration that I had to undertake because I knew exactly what it meant to be an actor. And to be an actor in this country and any country, that's why they've all got the same opinions. That's why Leonardo DiCaprio thinks exactly the same thing as someone who's working for a cooperative theatre in the back streets of Carlton. They all believe the climate change is terrible, it's going to kill us all, except Leonardo can fly around his own private jet aeroplanes and buy, a mansion on the French Riviera, and suddenly the rising waters don't seem to matter anymore. But you're not allowed to call that out, particularly if you want to maintain your role, literally and figuratively as an actor in the arts community and working on mainstream television as I was. So I knew that. But I had found it very difficult for a long period of time not to be able to talk about these things because they're inconsistencies. They're glaring inconsistencies that exist in the culture to our detriment, ultimately, because if you continue to tell a lie, where does it lead eventually? And we all know that in our private lives. Eventually, the lie has to be followed by another lie, another lie, another lie, until it's exacerbated to the point where it becomes untenable. So I had this concern before COVID. Well and truly before COVID, I'd be in green rooms trying to keep my mouth shut. And every now and then it would spill out. And I had detrimental consequences as far as ongoing work was concerned. There were times when I was not employed because of my stance, public, even if it was only mildly public. But eventually when Corona came, and I was sitting at home for a long time, I accepted the science to start with, but it didn't take long for me. I had that feeling in my stomach, this is not right, this doesn't make sense. And there was a lot of inconsistencies that we've talked about as far as climate's concerned. There was those similar inconsistencies with COVID, what was an essential worker, what wasn't an essential worker. The bureaucratic measures that were put in place to bring about that is the destruction, ultimately, of the culture. And it was a destruction of the culture. People that have built businesses up, people I know that built businesses up over years and years and years. And it's easy for people to say, oh, well, it's just money, at least they're safe. But it's not just money. It's a way of life. And it's who those people were and their meaning for their families and how they supported their families. So I was at home watching all of this stuff, seeing other people protest, probably yourself too, interviewing those people out and about, particularly I saw you at the Black Lives Matter protest, trying to draw analogies to why was this okay, yet if someone was considered a freedom fighter or a neo-Nazi, and there's nothing better than a Jewish neo-Nazi, but again, all these inconsistencies don't matter. Well, they do matter. Words do matter. There is meaning behind them. I just went, I felt like it was imperative for me as a human, and it was like a soul journey in some respects. I had to stand up. I had to stand up for me, and my family, and in some respects too, my masculinity. Because what's a man if he just sits and takes everything, particularly because he's frightened of having his material well-being taken away from him? Because that's the threat. That was always the threat to me in green rooms when I didn't agree with whatever the progressive narrative was at that particular juncture. The threat was, shut up or you lose your job. Did someone say that to me, Avi? And this is how it works. And we go, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. But the conspiracy is not someone taps you on the shoulder and says, you think this, because if you don't think it, you've lost your job. You know, those walls speak. You know what's happening in that culture and where the mob mentality is. And you know to go along to get along. And that's what everyone does. It's also what the parliamentarians do. They go along to get along. You know, I've got this great pithy line about Labor and Liberal, you know, one's red and one's blue, but they're actually the same colour, and if you mix them together, you get purple. So they should all be walking around in purple because they're the uni party, they're the same party. And purple, of course, is the colour of the AEC, the Australian Electoral Commission, which is the bureaucracy that oversees it all. And I think there's something really pertinent in that. Not exactly sure what yet, but there's certainly something pertinent in that, you know. So, again, they go into that system and they want to make peace with the system because they know it's the system that is supplying them with their wealth and their prestige ultimately going along. And if they came in as younger people too, particularly, they want to stay in that system. Is it to be a parliamentarian and ultimately get a job in a bureaucracy somewhere overseas as a diplomat or whatever else it is? You can see it. You can see it happening, but they won't rock the boat. So eventually COVID comes along. In Victoria, we saw a mass of people, which was extraordinary in the protest movement, and it has no political representation in the federal parliament. There is no Victorian of those 7 members that I spoke of that are against the agenda, or at least questioning the agenda. None of them are Victorians. Yet the biggest protest movement, the most draconian lockdowns, that's what resulted in the protest movement, were in Victoria. So my thing is, well, why wouldn't there be a Victorian? And do I try and run as a Liberal or as a Labor or as a Green or as a National? No. Even the UAP or the Lib Dems, they're all constricted by a party structure that demands what they are, the talking points that those people, those representatives can have. Well, I don't need my talking points. I'm articulate. I'm capable of making my own arguments. And what I would say is I'd be elected by the people and I would represent those people because the parties don't. The party people, they owe their fealty to the party because it's the party structure that gives them that job in the first place. You work your way up, you're handing out how to vote cards, you're working in someone's office as a staffer and eventually you get pre-selected, but you're running against all these other people within the party who you probably know quite well to get that seat at pre-selection. Is it a safe Liberal seat or a safe Labor seat? Who do you owe your loyalty to? You owe your loyalty to the people that put you, installed you there in the first place. So it's really difficult to run as an independent. I don't have the financial backing of the institutional parties, but I have a voice. But I also have an independence. So who elects me? And it is those people that I expect would appeal to. They'll be my natural constituents. And then there's a group working in construction who felt, the mandates came out in construction and they held out as long as they could because they never wanted to take it. And they were even at the beginning saying, no way over my dead body, I'm not going to. And whatever reason their resolve weakened, we know why it weakened because they were coerced. You want to go to the pub? You want to be able to sit down and have a meal? You want to be able to pay for your family, your children's education, your mortgage, your bills, all this stuff was under threat because you couldn't work. And they took jabs too. And they're angrier than any members of the community because they never wanted to do it in the first place. And they feel like their government forced them to take it. So what do you do, Avi? I protested. This is the democratic process. How can over 500,000 people 4 weekends in a row have no political representation? How can they have none? That's a perversion and corruption of the system. And then to be admonished at a media level? Where's the media in this?
You obviously gave up a lot to join this freedom movement. Yeah. Was it worth it?
Well, it has to be worth it. Yeah, it is, because now I don't have to skulk and hide in the shadows. I can say what I want to say, and in freedom and equanimity. And if someone's got to be an argument to tell me that what I'm saying is not truth, then by all means, I can't wait. Bring it on.
If you think that these freedom-focused candidates...
Well, that was rather interesting, wasn't it, folks? Yeah, let's get it out of the screen. There you are. He's an actor. So we've had a policeman and an actor. They're all barring up against the mainstream. Why is that, do you think? Think there's something wrong with our system? Well, not really. I'm sure everything's really hunky-dory. No. Got one more video in a minute. This other guy called, funny enough, Jonas. You know, he's another political type person, but I might actually get DK on and have a bit of a chat with DK for a while and see what he reckons about how the show's going so far. What do you reckon, folks? You can hear me, DK? Actually, get me other mouse happening. Yeah, this. All right, it's joining. Where's the button? There we go. Hello, DK. Yeah, there. Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, welcome to Amos 16. Amos Sewn 16. Yeah. So as you see, I'm changing things a little bit in my show here and there, just trying to, yeah, bring some light to this political madness we're having here in Australia. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I like it. I like doing it every once in a while as well. I do it lots where I play videos, but the ones where it's like I actually read and pay attention to them and things.
Yeah.
You need with some of them anyway. I mean, like to be honest, those were just like interviews, so you can't really like pause and interject and things. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I could always pause and make comments, sort of thing. And well, while the videos were playing, I was actually talking here and there. I don't know if you could hear me.
No, I actually couldn't. The video level must have been overpowering your audio. I did hear mumbling in the background.
All right.
I wasn't sure if you were actually trying to comment on
Yeah,
it.
I'm a bit of a mumbler.
I just compared to the video,
yeah.
I couldn't make out what you were saying, sort of thing.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, well, that's the thing. Not that professional yet, but well, this is week 16, and
Yeah, man.
and we're getting there, sort of thing. And I know what'll be like by week 26. That'll be week 26. That'll be half a year. So we got
Right.
so we're over a quarter of a year. So we're sort of haven't been banned yet because haven't been mentioning the these things because that's the thing that they're pretty heavy on apparently. And well, politics is coming up, and I think I've got to say to people that look, keep away from the mainstream parties because they're not going to do any of us any good. Look at your independents. Look at the blokes on the street. Have a look, and they've all got websites. Have a look into their policies and things like that. I've looked into some things, but I can only generalise sort of thing. And well, I didn't write anything down this week.
Did you hear Ricardo Bossi had his bank account seized?
Yeah, I saw a report recently, and he was saying something like that. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Crap.
Yeah.
I knew they'd done it to a few truckers in the Canadian convoy thing, like that one.
Yeah.
I know that they've done it to a few. Yeah, I know they've done it to like a couple of other people who've been outspoken and shit. I think Ken O'Keefe had his seized
Yeah.
before he got arrested and locked up in America. He has since made it home. Apparently he's trying TikTok now. I just found
All right.
out.
Yeah, they're coming for us all, mate.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I'm amazed I'm still getting paid.
Oh well, yeah. Don't worry. You're a little bit further down the list than you like. Further down the list is better.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well,
the wrong people aren't hearing me.
yeah. Well, yeah. How many viewers we got happening on YouTube at the moment?
I got 2 on YouTube. I'm not sure how many you've got on your Twitch, but you got 7 online watching as well.
Oh, laughing. Yeah. Howdy, folks. Thanks for joining. We're the new media here. We're trying to do a job. Not getting paid. Not yet, anyway. In a couple months' time, going to set it up so that people, if you want to donate, got to set it up for DK2 so people can donate to DK2. Because, well, at the moment, this doesn't really cost me anything. It just costs me my time. But in the future, I'm going to need new and improved equipment. I want to get a camera and probably a green screen type thing, like, and it's technology involved. And well, going to go to protests and stuff like that.
I I think if you get in touch with Finney, you might be able to help out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If you use Skype, it's
Uh,
like an actual thing you can use. You can put on different backgrounds. I think that's all he uses. I don't even think you need a green screen.
oh,
That
really?
makes it work better if you have a green screen.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it'd just be a case of hooking up a curtain behind me. Nothing to it.
Oh yeah, but I mean, yeah, you actually don't even need that. Like
All
it's an
right.
actual like filter thing
Yeah. Well, for example,
that you put on Skype.
that last show we had last week, that was through uh, just this uh, Discord. You had a different screen. Yeah, your background was changed. That was through Discord, wasn't it?
Oh, it was too.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you can do that in
I don't
Discord
know how I
too.
did it. I don't remember.
Oh no, it's in settings and stuff like that. Got a
Yeah.
little bizzo down the bottom
I
there.
check it on at the moment. I put blankets up over the curtains just to stop the glare.
Oh right, oh yeah, yeah, well, let's start a video conversation, shall we? Yeah,
Yeah, as I said, that's how it actually works.
yeah. Well,
Turned it down enough.
screen share. No, it's not right. Press the wrong button. Screen.
It's still got my background.
All right. Oh, video. That's the one. But oh yeah, yeah. You're out on the beach somewhere. Yeah, that's not too bad, is it? Oh, my screen's a bit. There we go.
There's even,
You're still pretty washed out though.
even with
From that there, you look all right, but you know,
oh yeah, it's
yeah. Well, that, how,
really weird.
how does it look on YouTube? I
Like
wonder.
on your TV.
Huh? Near what?
On your TV.
My TV. Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
On your TV.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I would too. Yeah, because well, it's a new TV, but yeah, I tried playing with the settings in it before, and it's I haven't worked the settings out yet. I'm just having a look at where am I? Here we go. Over here. Sorry, mate.
Muzzle was wanting to jump on. Muzzle was wanting to jump on the Discord and talk to.
Okay. Hey, Muzzer, come and join us. Come on, where are you?
I'm pretty sure he's on my Discord, but
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
I am actually pretty sure he's on there.
Yeah. Well, come on, Muzzer. Join the conversation. Show us your face if you like, or don't. I don't. It doesn't really matter. But
I just dropped the link from him
oh yeah.
in your YouTube chat.
Cool. Oh yeah. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, that should work. Anyone else can join in too if you like. Yeah, the more the merrier. Have a party online if you like. Might even make the screen a little bigger. What do you reckon? Ta-da! Woohoo! Here we go. Oh no, you just watch. I look around. I can see you real fine, but through the screen. But I don't know how it looks on the YouTube situation. I'll have a look on the. See what's happening there.
I think you've just got your brightness or your contrast white levels or something turned up.
Yeah. Well, could be also on. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll work it out eventually.
Have you got glare on your TV?
Glare. Well, yeah. I've got a couple of lights hidden. Well, the lights shine on my face. That's part of the situation. I've got a light because if I don't put lights on, so I'll turn that light off. See that makes a difference. It doesn't make a difference. You can still see me okay, though, can't you? Is that really?
No.
No difference. Yeah.
You're doing it on YouTube.
Yeah.
A little bit, not much.
Yeah. No, I'll put it back on. Well.
Although, even on the Discord, it looked like it's clear still when it shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, if I look at the other computer, one with on Discord that I can see on, it looks quite sort of ordinary there. Yeah, I mean, you can see you quite well, and the background is quite bright sort of thing, but yeah, your face is a little washed out sort of thing. You know, yeah, it needs to see you anyway.
I can't even remember how I put the background on.
Oh, yeah, it'd be in settings. There's in that little settings button down the bottom. I think that's how you did it. Because well, it's settings about. Let's have a look. We'll get back to the news shortly, folks.
All right. You're staying out, it's all right. You're streaming. Let's talk about something else.
Well, let's get out of that then. Well, anyway, it's Thursday work. Just thinking about computers and stuff like that, and because, well, they're an amazing thing to have, aren't they? Like sort of, at least people like you and me, we can get out there and get our voices heard, sort of thing. And well, maybe we might change some people's opinion about this up and coming election. And like, apparently your election is next year, sort of thing. It's going to be the same sort of thing. But I don't really imagine that it's going to. What?
Yeah, look, your son is coming across you tomorrow.
Oh yeah, yeah. Looking forward to that. You going to visit?
8 in the morning, though. Like at 8 in the morning, halfway across town.
Well, get a good night's sleep and you can get up early.
Like so in two minds about this.
No, go and do it.
Two minds about this. Like Thursday morning,
No, go and do it, mate.
after that.
Seriously, mate, go and do it. Yeah,
Honestly, I don't usually school after that time.
yeah.
I'm not usually on weekend.
Well, go to bed early. Well, yeah. Yeah,
Drink myself to sleep early, you reckon?
well, do you have to do that? Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Sleep early. Yeah.
yeah. That's not really the answer, I don't think, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, it's but it'd be good. It'd be good to go see it because, well, let's face it, it'd be good to see Jacinda's on your channel, or yeah, via your.
Oh, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, maybe you go up and try to ask her some questions. But then again, they might put you in jail.
Would that get me my third strike though? Would it get me my third strike?
Well, depends where you upload it to, doesn't it? Depends where you upload it to, doesn't it?
Oh, I generally upload it to YouTube.
Yeah, well, well, it depends what you ask her too, doesn't it? It depends what you ask her as well.
I wouldn't get to talk to it. Oh, they'd never let me talk to it.
No. Well, you never know. If you're there at the right time.
Yeah, it'd just be like, crowd reactions and it would just be like crowd reactions and people yelling at her and shit.
Yeah. So,
I can't see very well.
well, do you got to do it or not? Yeah. I hope you do, but if you don't, you don't. Yeah, it's sort of, we've all got our own little things to do in life.
Definitely.
Excuse me?
Just the early morning, and my son gets back like tonight anyway.
All right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes it a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But I actually have my son back and shit by Saturday morning.
All right.
That's an extra issue to worry about. Although I can leave him at home, but yeah, I don't like doing it.
What? Take your son to the pro?
He won't come.
Yeah. Doesn't want to go. Yeah.
He's come to one once. He's come to one once.
Yeah. He's not really engaged though, is he?
That's because I said if he didn't come, I couldn't be bothered going all the way home to pick him up to give a ride to his friend's place.
Yeah. Carrot and stick. Yeah. Well, mate, I've got to go and exchange fluids. Have you got something you got to tell the audience for us? Keep the audience entertained for a minute.
Damn it, I was thinking exactly the same.
Well,
I was thinking exactly the same.
well, I'm first.
Yeah, what can I talk about right now that's interesting?
Well,
The Elon Musk takeover of Twitter.
oh, yeah, that'll do.
The Elon Musk takeover of Twitter because everyone thinks it's an amazingly great thing because he's going to free up free speech. But people stop taking into account the other side of things. He is one of these elite billionaires himself. He's actually lied about how he'd made any of his money. His father owned emerald mines. He stole the idea for PayPal off the two original inventors. They then took over the company. They changed the name and then he sold it to China. With Tesla, he ended up shafting one of the actual creators of Tesla. I believe the other one must still be on the board or something like that, but he shafted one of the creators of Tesla, took over the company, and I can't remember whether it was with PayPal or with Tesla. One of them, whatever agreement he made, whatever legal arrangement they came to, like the actual designers' names, like the actual creators' names were never allowed to be mentioned. So maybe it was with PayPal. And yeah, and Tesla, SpaceX, I'm unsure about. I think he just, by that time, he was rich and just hired people who knew what the fuck they were doing. Because he didn't invent shit. He's a businessman who's just stolen other people's ideas and made money, and that is all that it has done. His contributions, hey, I'm buying Twitter, I like free speech. The downside that no one talks about, this could just mean that now it's easier to like let everyone say things so they can get it the right everyone. Let's let the right-wing activists and its white supremacists back on Twitter and have free speech.
Free shit.
So we can put them all on a list.
Better. Well, that's Elon. Yeah, well, I think he made a lot of money out of PayPal, didn't he? But yeah, I totally, I've heard that before about him shafting people. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, he actually stole it. No, he stole it though. He didn't make it.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
well, maybe he got himself on the board. Yeah, he got himself on the board for PayPal, and I don't know. Maybe he did donate money and shit because his dad was rich anyway. Because he owned emerald mines.
Yeah.
So maybe he did actually donate money. Got onto like PayPal with them and things, and then had some legal arrangement sorted out where their names weren't allowed to be mentioned. So it looked like he was in there, and then he went and sold it to China.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, he's
did the same with Tesla, but
well, let's face it. To be as successful at just about anything, ever big time successful like these blokes are talking about, you've got to be a crook, basically, because you don't get anywhere unless you rob someone. Those pretty much, isn't it? Let's look at the most things in the world. Yeah, corruption, as I've said before, is
what's one of the
corruption's a real pandemic. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
What were you going to say?
That's one of the sayings out of like I think this might even be out of the Bible. I'm not sure. It's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than a camel through the eye of a needle. I'm not sure if it's out of the Bible or if it's just like just a real.
Well, it sounds like a philosopher's story.
It's harder for a rich man to enter heaven than it is to get a camel through the eye of a needle.
Yeah, well, who knows? Could be biblical, but you know, I have my doubts about that book anyway. Let's not get into that. Yeah, I'll get shut down for sure.
Oh yeah, no, it's all right. No, I'm just but I'm just like it points out that money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
And anyone who makes lots of it basically isn't a good person.
Yeah, well,
like the simple way of breaking that, that we stink down.
Yeah, well, I'll make a little bit, not to buy beer. Yeah, I'm only a little bit evil, I think, because I think no one's a real. There's no such thing as saints. I think. Yeah, everyone's got a little bit of. We're all like look at me symbol, yin yang. It's the good and evil's in us all. It just depends on what you choose to do with your impulses. You know what I mean? I'd prefer to help someone than hinder someone. Yeah, what happened there?
Stupid background thing that I've gone is making that all crack. In you.
What happened there? You've gone over the side. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Oh, no, it must have that background's glitching you all out.
Oh, yeah.
Would actually work and you could see my arm. It was really weird.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to show you the tattoo I got on my back, but, well, if you want to see the tattoo on your back, go to, what was it? My Odyssey account, my main picture is a picture of the tattoo on my back, which is that symbol. And that came about because.
Anyway, my turn.
Okay.
My turn to exchange words.
Okay, piss off.
My turn to exchange words.
All right. Yeah, he disappeared awful quick then, didn't he? Yeah, the bladder must be leaking. Right, yeah, well, I've got to work out how to put links in my description. That's what I've got to do. I'm pretty sure, I'll try to this video. I won't do it now, I'll do it later. I'll put a link in my description because I have a Twitch account and an Odyssey account. The Odyssey account, well, that's a site there. A lot of people archive their stuff. And most of my stuff's archived there, and it's just, and in that my what do you call it? The picture of me or something. Well, it's a picture of the tattoo on my back, which is the symbol that you well, that symbol. Yeah, it's and that came about because I made my nephew Adam, who's a tattooist, a a leather sporran, and well, he couldn't pay for it, but he said he'd make a tattoo for me, and come up with that idea, and that's been on my back for a few years now, and it's well, I needed a symbol, and I thought, well, why not that? That's pretty, you know, it's I don't know. What does anyone else think of? What does anyone else think of the symbol? It's where's my mouse has gone again? Can't find me. Clear all the shit off it. There you go. Where's DK? Yeah, he's not back.
Yeah, I'm back. I was just following
I was just telling him about the symbol on my back and where it came about. Came up with that, and well, I think it's quite telling. It's yin yang. It's the yeah. It is what it is. It's sort of like it's a balanced situation, and the feathers. Well, it's like a dream catcher sort of thing, and it's a nod to the indigenous peoples of not just America, but everywhere. Indigenous peoples all over. You've got to appreciate the indigenous peoples of our world. They've got a lot of knowledge that we have shirked. The Western world, we don't know shit about, like healing medicines and things like that. Well, you're not allowed to talk about now because it's all, you know, if it doesn't come from pharmaceutical, is that a good word? Pharmaceutical, not pharmaceutical, pharmaceutical. Sounds like shit gas to me. But
from the Greek word pharmakia. It comes from the Greek word pharmakia,
yeah.
which is to do with sorcery.
Mm.
And the goddess of lies or some shit.
Yeah, I like sauce on my chips. Different sort of sauce, I know. Oh, look here. You change your perspective. You're sitting back a bit. Mm.
Yeah, I thought it might help here and shit. I'm not sure.
Oh, no, well, yeah. Oh, well, on the other screens looks fine. It's only just the OBS screen. But, let's have a look at what's happening on the other. I'll have a look at the screen.
YouTube's still very bad.
Oh, yeah, here's a bit blurred. Yeah. Yin Yang, Kiwi Bear. Where are you, Kiwi? Why are you joining in the convo?
Yeah.
Oh,
In
Kiwi.
the chat, man.
Don't be shy.
That's called channel, man.
Yeah, it's anyway. He's probably shy. Doesn't sound shy when I talk to him, though. You know what I mean? He's oh, chat. Because basically, we rarely have him in the chat room. Yeah, because then every time he's on, you keep on talking over top of him.
His name is his names and stuff is all things, eh?
Yeah,
Things to use for like merchants like that.
Yeah.
Actual, like original stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah.
Oh, yeah, well.
Actually made up.
Yeah, I haven't got around to doing any of the drawings I was going to do yet.
I like what it's called, mate.
Yeah. Well, you know, you've got
I haven't started emailing you for
well, yeah, well, I've nearly finished your belt, but I'll get to that sort of shortly.
I realised if I take a photo of a print, if I take a photo of a drawing, I have no idea how to convert in JPG file or
Don't you? Do you have a printer?
File you need to be able to use anyway.
So you don't have a printer? Do you have a printer? I use a printer, which is it's a printer scanner thing. It's a Canon thing. It costs like.
I have no ink.
No, but it's got a scanner on it.
I have a printer.
But it doesn't have a scanner. Is it a scanner printer?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You can scan anything.
Yeah.
And once you scan it, then it's a.
Oh, true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, mate.
Ah,
Scan
I
it.
never thought about that. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
bloody dickhead. Anyway,
Great.
why wouldn't you think of something like
I
that?
actually never even thought about that.
Yeah, scanning, mate. That's what they're great. They're a great tool for that. Like
Because
my printer cost me like
I'm worthless.
$50, like 5 or 6 years ago.
No, because it's been out of ink.
Yeah, yeah,
Mine
mate.
was like a $200,
So it's got a scanner.
but because it ran out of ink, we used it for like about 2 years.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding you, because it ran out of ink.
yeah. Well,
And used it for like 2 years. I didn't even think about the scanning function.
yeah, mate. Well, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, great technological knowledge that we have here. And yeah, well, I use it all the time. So that well, for example, my symbol for me me site. What happened with that? I took a photo of it. Well, the photo that I have of someone took of me back. I blew it up, printed it, then traced it, then redrew it, then scanned it again, and that's what the start of the image is on the site now. Yeah, just like tracing stuff's pretty easy. Anybody can do that. Yeah, you don't have to be a artist like me. Yeah. Oh,
Looney turned up to say hello.
oh, Looney. Hey, Looney. Yeah. Hey, cats are cool. Yeah. Looney's a star. Monstar, but yeah.
Sometimes they're just annoying.
Oh no, mate. Your animals are good. Yeah, it's good to have an animal.
A cat being on screen will get you more views. Everyone loves a cat.
Oh, not everybody. Yeah, not everybody. But yeah, I like cats. Yeah, my last cat was called Scat. Scat the cat. Anyway. Yeah, that was many years ago. What I really would like now is a dog, but haven't got any fences where I live, so that's out of the story. Yeah. Well, we're over an hour already. It seems to be a quick show today. I might get back to there's one last video to show of this other dude. I might just chuck that on, and so I'll mute that microphone, and hopefully we'll be able to chat in the background. Maybe I don't know. See how that goes. All right, this is this guy. He's well, I'll let him do his own talking. I've got a about. Here we go. Interact. Play.
Would you say to them to get them to vote for you?
Well, I would tell them, have a look at my content, check out what I stand for. I would ask them some serious questions. How do they feel about the woke agendas that have infiltrated our schooling system? How do they feel about businesses being arbitrarily shut down under this arbitrary state of emergency? Are they comfortable with this government? How do they feel about our manufacturing being sold down the drain? If they're not happy with any of those things, then I would encourage them to go to my website, morgancjonas.com, read my policy positions and make an informed decision if they think that I'm the sort of person they'd like to support. So ultimately it comes down to the voter. We need voters to be informed about who they vote for, understand who they are, so that we can hopefully turn this situation around.
So I'm going to start by just playing the intro to this interview that you did with Neil Mitchell.
Yeah, go for it.
But they're going to be powerful wackos and fringe dwellers. I don't know why you want to vote for them. I think I know. I think it's sheer frustration with the major parties. But the news poll today in The Australian shows that 27% of the voters could be voting for independents or minor parties. That puts them in an extraordinarily powerful position. On the line, Morgan Jonas is running as an independent senator for Victoria. Morgan Jonas, good morning.
G'day, Neil. How come you're calling all these independents wackos?
Because
not very nice.
No, it's not nice.
What makes you say that?
He agrees it's not nice.
What about the major parties, mate? Look what they've done to this country. I reckon they're the wackos.
Yeah, there's a bit of truth in that too. But tell me, what's your plan?
You have to admit it. They're the wackos there, and Bullman, and the interview continues like that, and right. You absolutely demolished him, I think, and people that want to hear the whole interview, I encourage you to go listen to it and decide for yourself. I think that kind of behaviour actually encourages more If right now an undecided voter was watching this,
so out of touch, and it's time that the bubble be popped. And this election. Good morning.
G'day, Neil. How come you?
So you,
what makes you say that?
He agrees he's not nice.
What about the major parties, mate? Look what they've done to this country. I reckon they're the wackos.
Yeah, there's a bit of truth in that too. But tell me, what's your platform?
you have to admit it. There's the wackos there, and Bullman, and the interview continues like that, and you absolutely demolished him, I think, and people that want to hear the whole interview, I encourage you, go listen to it and decide for yourself. I think that kind of behaviour actually encourages more people to vote independent. But we'll find out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we sure will, and I had a very positive response, and a lot of people reached out to me who said, I wasn't really sure who to vote for, Morgan. My vote is locked in with you after listening to you hand it to Neil Mitchell.
I feel a bit sorry for them. They're a bit senile. Their platforms are, they're depreciating by the hour. And they've been sticking up for these dumb and dumber parties for how long now? And they've been creaming it. They've lost nothing in the last 2 years. They are so out of touch. And it's time that the bubble be popped. And this election's going to do it. And Morgan's the man that's going to go in for the kill. And he's going to be the alternative voice of what we need in the parliament.
I'm really excited. He only needs 630,000 votes to get elected. There's that many in the freedom movement. RDA came from nothing to something in 2 years, so why can't he get in? And we have a lot of support, and RDA supports Morgan 100%. Obviously, if you're a freedom fighter, then you should be voting for him number one. It's really as simple as that. So I think we can do it.
So tell us, who is this Morgan Jonas?
All right, so Morgan C. Jonas running independently for the Senate. Now, Avi, you've known me for years, so you've known that I have been speaking up against the government before COVID. So this is just a continuation of what I've been doing. My major first protest was Daniel Andrews in 2019, targeting him for his relationship with China. It snowballed from there. Over 170 independent news reports I've published on my site. Every protest, calling the government out every step of the way. And I think the COVID experience has highlighted the absolute reality that the major parties have let this country down. Australians are looking for an alternative. We see support for independence. So that's what I'm standing up for. I'm standing up for a reduction in the size and scope of government. I'm standing up for our farms. Okay, some people may not know that between 2010 and 2020, we lost 10,000 farms in Victoria. We see the commercialisation of water. We see these third-party actors coming in that never work on farms, able to buy huge amounts of water, controlling the supply, manipulating the prices. This sort of garbage needs to end. We've seen our manufacturing destroyed. We can look at the trade deals and we can trace them every step of the way in relation to the damage they have caused to our industry. All right, we're talking about energy. We used to be almost fuel independent in this country, but post-deregulation, that's gone down the drain. We need that back. We're losing our autonomy, and of course, our freedoms are under attack. COVID has outlined the absolute need for people at the highest of level to stand up for our freedoms, because the human rights legislation isn't doing anything. So that's the platform that I'm standing on, and you may not have known that if you listened to Neil Mitchell on 3AW, because he was more concerned about picking a fight or trying to make me look stupid, undermining me, as he does all of his other guests. So Avi, thank you for being real media, and my prediction is that platforms like yours, they are going to be one of the primary reasons why platforms like Neil's just are cast off to the side and to be forgotten about.
Well, I appreciate that. Morgan, you certainly sound clear to me about what you stand for. But the question I guess that people have is, you're one guy. What are you going to make any difference in the Senate, even if I agree with everything you stand for?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that is particularly relevant to the Senate. So the Senate, otherwise known as the House of Review, that's where legislation is passed, amended, chucked out, and where major public inquiries are raised, where pressure can be put on the lower house. So if we are unable to form a good block and to hold the balance of power in the Senate in terms of people who are freedom focused that love this country, then ultimately we won't have much power. But if we're able to, if I'm elected, if people who see things in a similar light are also elected, we can create tremendous pressure to put on the lower house to pass legislation that's favourable to Australia, and ultimately we'd like to hold the government really to ransom for many of the terrible decisions they've made. So as one man, no, of course, I'm not running to be Emperor of Australia, but since I'm running for the Senate, it is so important for voters to know exactly who I am, what I stand for, and what I will not stand for, in order to understand how I am likely to vote on bills. That's what it really comes down to in the Senate.
What about voters that are planning to vote Liberal, Labor, Green, somebody else? How would you change their mind to tell them to vote for you?
What I find is that people who are voting for Labor and Liberal, Usually they do so out of habit. Their parents voted that way, their grandparents voted that way, so by default they vote that way as well, and they say, hey, politics isn't for me, I don't want to know anything. So my advice to people at home is, if you know people like that, if you have people like that in your life, ask them what's important. Is the education of your children important? Most people would say yes. Ask them, what do you think about the woke agendas in schools? Do you think that we should have this type of theories whereby people should be ashamed of their skin colour, or that boys should be told they can be girls one day and boys the next and girls the next day? If people care about their children, they should pay attention to who they're voting for. Ask them if they care about manufacturing, jobs, being self-sufficient. If they care about any of those things, ask if they care about freedom and having the autonomy to run our businesses when we decide to run it, not when the government says. If they care about those things, then they must look at alternatives to Labor and Liberal. You vote for the major parties, you get the same. So that's the message.
If you think that these freedom-focused candidates deserve or should have a platform, even if the mainstream media refuses to give them one, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, share it far and wide. Then head over to ozdecides.com to sign up for our mailing list and donate what you can to ensure that we can continue to tell the other side of the story this election. AUS, ozdecides.com. And a little secret, we also plan to challenge some of the fake, independents and those cowardly major party candidates that the media have given a free pass to so far. Watch this space, Ozdecide.
Well, that was pretty interesting, wasn't it? What do you reckon, DK? That's happening here in Australia with, this rebel news mob. That first I heard about them was when the thing started happening in was it Canada? It's a big thing over there apparently. But this guy, Avi's, I've seen a lot of his work on Australian social media, and I might get in touch with him, see if he wants to come on my show. What do you reckon? I'll tell him that I've...
Yeah, give it a pass, man.
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
I think the first I heard of him when... where was it? When police first started to help and might have been Melbourne when they first started happening last year.
Avi's in Melbourne.
Started thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of pretty much because Melbourne's been hit the hardest with all the draconian crap, shall we say. I used to live in Melbourne. I'm glad I don't now.
Oh yeah, fully.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I've got a mate who lives over there. Yeah. I got a mate online who lives over in Melbourne.
Yeah. Well,
they went from ranked #1 city in the world.
Yeah, to fuck all now. Don't go there. Now, mate, I'd feel uncomfortable. I got a few. Well, I grew up there, and I've got a few sisters and a lot of family down there, and I'd love to go visit, but yeah, they probably wouldn't let me in because I'm not vaccinated. Yeah, I'm not really sure if that situation is happening at the moment, but because you watched at the moment, it's election season here in Australia, and they're going to be things are really quiet at the moment. But you watch, the election will happen, the new government will hopefully be nice if it was an independent government, but there's two chances of that, and Buckley's will fuck all. But yeah, but we've got to try. We've got to try to at least get. We've got to get some independent.
Two main parties that control all the election software.
That's right. Yeah.
Whoever using it, it's a software, so people counting the vote.
That's right.
None of it makes any difference.
No, that's right.
They did a French vote just
yeah.
well.
Yeah. That lady, she was winning.
Shit, I can't even remember the exact number, but they lost 1.6 million votes or something stupid.
Just disappeared.
The other person, live on the screen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Happened to Trump and Biden.
Yeah, the same thing happened. Yeah. Well, you watch it straight. I've never really watched political crap, sort of thing. But this year, when the 21st of May comes around and they start doing election coverage, I'm going to have to watch some of it. Ooh, I don't really want to, but yeah, because I'm gonna watch and see. Might even stream some of it and sort of pick things out and say, look at that thing change here and there, because no doubt it'll happen here too. Yep, there's
Yeah, see, I get sent it all on. I get sent it all on Telegram and Discord. Anything that someone's found interesting,
yeah.
I get sent it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I don't actually have to look too hard for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Politics isn't really.
I haven't really worked out Telegram too well yet. Yeah, it just doesn't really.
I mean, other than what's happening to other than what's happening in my country right now, other than what's happening in my country right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to be active and doing something about this crap.
Yeah. Well, we need to. You break it up.
It's just such a mess. It's not. The international W8 is crazy thing.
I was looking at what.
Well, they're gonna put they reckon they only need 70% of countries to agree, and then that 70% will put sanctions on everyone who doesn't agree.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a report.
On everyone who doesn't agree.
I saw a report on Facebook the other day. Someone sent to me. Apparently, World Health Organization. They've just brought something in here in Australia that basically overwrites our constitution. Means the World Health Organization. Yeah, that's right.
It's the new I can't remember what they call it. Some new pandemic treaty thing or some shit.
Pandemic treaty sort of thing. Yeah,
Health response treaty.
Yeah. Maybe
see. What I'm talking about, though, yeah, it's every country, every single country, and if they get 70% of the world to agree,
yeah,
of course, for the 30%.
Well, actually, let me just have a look for a minute. Put this up. Let me get Facebook happening and see if I can actually play something that I was talking about. Because it's in Messenger. You find Messenger and depends how the. There we go. Different screen. Riveting stuff, eh, folks? Well, isn't the world a wonderful place? It's loading. Yeah. I'll just have to keep you entertained somehow. Oh, hang on. Here's a moment. Got something for you. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? No! It's a train coming! Are you on it? Under it? Or clinging to the walls? Still loading. Had to do that one. Yeah, that's part of the Amos Sewn. Yeah, come on. Oh, we go. Right, Messenger. Who sent it to me? I think it was your mate Ian. Yeah, Ian. Yeah, he's a nice bloke. He's got a bus too. Messenger, wake up. Here he comes.
Oh, nice.
What do I do? Come on. Time to sing a song. Haven't actually worked out my singing voice yet. Don't think you really want to hear it anyway right now. Come on, wake up. More beer. That's the answer. Beer is the answer. What was the question?
Cough that lung.
Oh, don't worry. It's not COVID, it's just lung cancer. Might not be. Might be just emphysema. Yeah.
What's the question? What's for breakfast?
Hang about. Here we go. Actually, Ian's online at the moment. Expert panel on medical freedom. Loading. Here we go. Now we just need to work it out. Let it stop loading. Connecting. Oh. Here we go. Here we go. Let's have this bloke ever. Because it was quite interesting, actually, I found. Yeah, so let's get it happening. Sooner or later. Mate. I love the bandwidth here and old Wanji. But I'm only running on wireless. so I can't get a phone line. Checked out about getting a phone line to improve me quality and everything, and they won't do it. They won't put another line in the same property. So, so I could get another Wi-Fi thing happening, but yeah, like Wi-Fi, it's probably frying me from the inside out, or the outside in, whatever. Come on, it's nearly there.
Yeah.
Get a little camera up. Got to make something happening. So.
Is it nearly there? Are you sure?
No, not really. Yeah, it's not really happening, is it? I'll just put it aside and sort of see what happens. In the meantime, what are how things going in Canada at the moment? You know, is the truck blockade thing still happening, or are they doing? Yeah, yeah, because well, a lot of things like there's certain places in the world that things are happening, but
I think there's bits going, but they've moved to different places, and it's not getting any media attention, not really publicised, and not really achieving anything. That's like the big problem.
Alright, that's not working, so let's just.
Right.
Sorry. Well, no, it's just going to do the same thing. Well, would like to show that, but give it one more go. And just if that doesn't work, it's just about time to wrap up the show. Oh, 20 to 4. Bowling club's been open for over half an hour. Well, can't hang around too long. I've got to go and have a couple of schooners or two. I don't have to. Yeah. Well, actually, from tonight, I go to work tonight, and then I'm off on holidays. All right. So next week, this show might be coming from Canberra. I don't have I get down there by Thursday, but I'm going to Canberra for apparently next weekend, not weekend coming, the weekend after. There's another protest down there, and I'm going to go and stream as much as I can and post stuff and see what happens there, right? There's another protest just before the election. See if they come out and bring out the LRAD again. See if I can get some footage of that, you know. I don't know, maybe I'll get fried. Yeah, so. But yeah, well, next week's show, it'll be maybe from down there. Mate, just depends on several factors. But next week, there will be a show no matter what. And, well, next weekend, I might even do a show from Canberra. Anyway, anything happening there? No, that's not happening, so we'll piss you off. Goodbye. But, what was it? AFP update. End of Commonwealth Constitution in Queensland. Sounds interesting, but it's basically a World Health Organisation have brought this thing in that makes our constitution null and void. Not that our Polly's been following that anyway, but well, we'll see what's happened. Might be for naught, but you never know.
Yeah, I think it does it for every country, eh? I don't know why it's every single country's sovereignty if they decide something's a pandemic. It's up to them to decide if something's a pandemic or not.
Yes, yeah. Now, mate, one of the pandemics is bloody insanity. I always said sanity's overrated, but it's good to see a little bit. You know, some people just, well, everyone says wake up and all that sort of stuff, but it's not about a matter of waking up. It's a matter of looking at the evidence that's right in front of you. Do you really believe your pollies are doing what they can? You know, do you really believe they're doing it for the good of the people? I think not. But, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens in this election that's coming up, and then after that, I'll bet you there's going to be another variant. Yes. Yeah, it won't be a freedom pandemic, that's for sure. But yeah, well, when it comes to your election, I'll talk to you again next week. Anyway, but when it comes to vote, make sure you take a pen. Make sure you put the main politicals last. Anyway, time to wrap up the show for tonight, because there's more important things to do than sit here and talk crap for a while. So I've got to go drink some beer. Do I have a problem? Probably. Don't we all have a problem? Probably. Anyway, Amos Sewn, episode 16, signing off now. Thanks very much for joining me, folks. Thanks, DK. I'm going to hang up the show and I'll carry on chatting for a minute. But yeah, thanks everybody. See you next week on Amos Sewn 17. In Lakesh.